So this video covers the scoring of lines and boring of holes for the t-34 76. And just want to start out by covering the holes to bore. There's a hole in the hull top where the turret post sits in. And so I would just bore these out with a 1/16 drill bit and then push a skewer through. There's 3 turret neck pieces. Just going to do one. Same thing, push a skewer through when you've got the hole bored. And you want to take a knife and just trim down the back here. Sort of open wound effect, you want to get rid of that so that the discs can glue to each other flat. Hull bottom, or turret bottom rather. And this one, you do not have to cut off that open wound effect. There's one at the front here. Now I don't suggest enlarging this one yet. Wait until it's attached before pushing the skewer through, because it's just so close to the edge. It's too delicate right now. And this one in the back, skewer through and remove that open wound effect. You also want to kind of flatten the pieces out here. It just helps when you're making your folds and stuff, and later when you're attaching the pieces if they're already been flattened. So just by hand. They've been warped at all. Should be fairly easy to do. And they will flatten again when you actually make the folds and attach them, so you don't have to be super careful about this, but it is nice to do this now. Okay. Now I've got this sharp blade, which I was just cutting off the backs of this, and I've also got a blade that I've sanded down. So this blade is not sharp at all, especially at the tip here. This is dull as basically as can be. And that's what I'm going to use to score the lines, so I don't actually cut through the paper. And you can press pretty hard while using a dull knife like this. Just going to score these lines, the dotted red lines. You can see on the turret there's some not dotted red lines. You don't want to score those. Leave those ones intact. Just score the dotted red lines. So if you're using a dull knife like this, you can actually use quite a bit of pressure. You should try to keep the cut straight. You should make some nice edges here. You can use like a kitchen knife for that, but I find the kitchen knife blades so thick it's hard to see where you're actually cutting. So it's not as good as actually just dulling down a utility knife like that. You can see when you make the folds, the paper isn't really breaking open, like it's not really been cut. And I'm just using the ruler as a fulcrum here to make the longer folds. They should fold pretty flat and straight right away. And actually that, doing the folding like this forces this part flat, and it helps to make these ones flat as well. So there's a few more. Make sure I'm using the right one here. Oh, here we go. Oh, there's a hole to drill in the gun mount. I've already drilled it by accident, but just, you want to drill that out too. Sorry, I forgot to mention that earlier. And the size is small enough for these folds that you don't need to use the fulcrum at all. So just leave these not scored at all. And just a little bit here on the track cover. Obviously there'll be 2 track covers. Do both sides. Just going to show one of each part. And the final piece here to score is this. It's like gun base expansion part. And so these are solid red lines, and this is dotted. So don't score these ones. Okay, and finally, and this is optional, you want to just pop out these toe hook parts. It's just easier to cut them out now than it is later. Just use a skewer to pop these pieces out. They should pop right out. And so there's some on the bottom of the hull back, and there's some on the hull front, the top part of the hull front. Okay, kitty. That's not cool. So just do pop these pieces out. And again, the toe hooks are optional. So if this is one of your first vehicles, I wouldn't really recommend doing this, but it does look cool. And you're ready for the next step.